Hey, it's Dare from Dare Cinema, and in this episode, I'm going to show you how to edit faster by organizing your Premiere Pro project like a pro. Hey there, I'm Dare, and Dare Cinema is about sharing the knowledge that I've been able to get from living and working in Hollywood in the film industry, as well as the crazily evolving world of content creation with you so you can make better stuff faster. And these days, I think if you're going to be an effective filmmaker or a content creator, that you need to know how to write, shoot, direct, and edit, as well as a bunch of other stuff. But minimally, you need those 4 skills to be a quadruple threat and to be able to handle most things that come your way. And in this video, I want to show you how to edit faster by organizing your Premiere Pro projects like the pros do. And I put a link below where you can download for free the Premiere projects to follow along with me in this episode, and which of course you can use as a base for all of your Premiere Pro projects going forward, so that you have a solid pre-built organizational structure for either film or general content. Now, I'm going to be doing this on a PC, but it applies exactly the same in a Mac. Good organization isn't OS dependent. And look, I promise you, if you don't already have a good organizational editing system for your projects, these next 15 minutes are going to save you weeks of your life and just hundreds of hours over the course of your content creation. Now, in addition to the thousands of videos I've created for smaller clients, I have edited 2 seasons of Netflix originals, I've edited several feature films, dozens of shorts, and also I was really fortunate to have a couple of mentors from the editing and post world who have done more than 40 features with multiple awards, including an Oscar for Best Editing. So those guys really knew what they were talking about. And while most of the mentoring sessions I had with them were about the artistic side of editing on, rhythm, continuity, story structure, and so on, it was always impressed upon me from both of them that right from the beginning, if you don't know how to organize your edit, you're going to waste most of your time and you won't have enough time to focus on the creative like you should. So, in summary, if you want to edit like a pro, it starts with organizing like a pro. Now, you might think this is just for beginners, but I constantly run into people who have been editing for years that don't have a robust organizational system and just waste tons of time. And sure, if it's a tiny project, maybe you don't need to spend much time on organization, but it's still a great habit to get into. Just to sort of make the point, I wanted to show you the edit organization for my last feature to impress upon you that when you are dealing with thousands and thousands of files, any one of which you need to find in seconds, you better know how to organize your project if you want to get editing done quickly.
So I'm going to be sharing this basic file structure with you, and you can customize it however you want. But again, you're trying to find something in seconds. So, okay, I know it's in scene 14. All right, I'm going to go down to scene 14. Great. I know that I have my scene edits in here. Okay, great. I have footage. Great. This is scene, shot, take, and then of course, a comment which tells me what type of shot it is, medium, full shot, and then a brief description of action. So Roberto and young Ricardo contemplating a photo, or whatever it is, the close-up on the floral offering. So the whole point is that I don't have to spend a lot of time kind of hunting for the shot because it's not labeled and I don't know what it is. Everything I need to know is right here so I can find in seconds exactly what I'm looking for. All right, let's jump in here. So when you open up Premiere Pro, you kind of get this start screen. And you can just go ahead and click on Open Project and navigate to wherever it is that your downloadable Premiere Pro projects are. And I'm gonna go ahead and open both of these. One of these is just for general content, such as music videos, commercials, interviews, anything of that nature. And one is a little bit more oriented towards film. Every single one of these is gonna make sense because it just says exactly what it is. And when you open up, it will have subfolders that, again, will also make sense. So this is sort of pre-built. You can customize it how you want. And as I said, this is for film, and this is more towards general content creation. And again, the folders will make sense. Music is obviously music. Stock footage is obviously stock footage. Narration, subtitles, and so on. So you can delete or rename whatever you want, but this is a good place to start if you don't already have an organizational system that you use. And So really quickly, just for complete beginners out there, this is your Premiere Pro workspace on a single screen. And if your layout doesn't look like this, you can come up here and let's say you click on this workspace. So this is your editing layout, you have color layout. And again, these are just laying out spaces in a prearranged way to what it thinks is the best for this particular part of the workflow, whether it's audio editing, effects, color, regular editing, assembly, and learning. So we're just going to go into the assembly one for now. And here you can kind of see we have here in our project panel, which is what we're going to be focusing on in this episode. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the tilde key and just make that full screen. In this project, I've already kind of built out a bunch of folders organized by different major components that you're going to be working with. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and open just a regular new project, just new, old style, let's call it. So maybe, you're the type of person who, you get home from a tough day at work and you just throw your clothes on the floor, and suddenly at the end of the week you realize that it looks like a hurricane hit your room and you can't find anything. You're wearing mismatched socks and who knows what else. So maybe you finish a shoot and all you really want to do is just import your footage and drop it in. So I'm going to pull in some footage and a music folder from a project I did with a good friend of mine years ago. And all right, so here's your video footage folder. All right, there's a ton of clips in here. And let's just say that you want to start editing. You're just like, oh man, I want to start editing. I don't want to organize. Why would I want to organize? Boring. So I'm gonna, editing CS55 is actually my preferred layout. So here, old style. All right, so great. You've got your footage, and all right, you know what? You're just gonna take your first clip and you're just gonna say new sequence from clip. All right, there you go. Footage on the timeline. This is music, video, fashion. Okay, and fashion. And you're like, oh man, I just want to edit, and that's it. You're like, okay, this is this cool clothing, and great, we're editing now. And then you're like, but wait a second, I want to see the shot where she's kind of going up to her necklace right there. Oh, maybe I don't want that shot. Now, you could, of course, just double click on this, and you could choose thumbnail views, and here you can kind of randomly just you can see these, and you can go, oh, yeah, here we go. This is this buckle shot. I'm just gonna do that nice rack focus there. And you're gonna set in point, out point, drop it on the timeline, and great. So you could do that 1,000 times, each time kind of looking for each individual shot through this, and you're gonna waste a lot of time, just a ton of time. So let me show you a better, more professional way to approach doing this. So let's go ahead and go back to the sample content file. And I have already kind of pulled in that video footage folder. And the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna change this to assembly. And I am going to double click on, let's call this just the dumped footage folder. So I'm gonna just hold down the control key and double click on this, and that is gonna open a new panel here for me with that bin. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna put this on the right, and I'm gonna switch this to thumbnail view. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to quickly work inside this, my folder structure. So here in this pre-bit folder, it's footage, right? Location 01 brief name. All right, so I'm gonna rename this, and it's gonna be called Green Room, which is where we were kind of shooting that first part of the scene. And I'm just gonna get rid of these additional folders because I don't need them. And what I'm gonna do is I am just going to go over here, I'm gonna select the first clip, and then holding down Shift, I'm gonna go to the end of this location, and I'm gonna go ahead and drag those into the Green Room folder. And I'm gonna go ahead and close that. I'm just doing my rough organization of footage here. And this is gonna be Fire Escape, which is our next location. Again, I'm gonna get rid of these subfolders, and I am gonna go ahead and see where the fire escape starts. So here, and this is just a few shots. She's kind of walking up until she gets on the roof. So then we're gonna go into fire escape. Those are now there. And then finally, I'm gonna rename this to rooftop, and all of these are gonna be here. So now automatically, when I go into editing, I've already quickly given myself 3 places to look. Instead of searching through an entire jumble of footage that we were looking at earlier, it's now in 3 main categories. Let's take this a step further here. So here we have just a ton of shots. Now what is all this stuff up at the top here? This is your metadata. So we're gonna go ahead and tilde and do this full screen. Now a lot of this stuff honestly is only useful in very specific situations. So if you go ahead and hit right click and choose metadata display, this is gonna bring up basically where you can choose every different type of metadata that you could possibly want. And I'm gonna show you which ones I use for content that I find is the most useful. So I'm gonna first deselect everything, and then I'm gonna go ahead and choose label, frame rate, media start, media end, video duration, description, comment, scene, shot, good. I think that'll do it for now. You can of course play with all of these if you want, but those for me are gonna work just fine for this. So now what I have here is frame rate, media start, media end, description, comment, scene, shot. Okay, so the most important one of these for me is on a project like this, not on a film, because on a film you're gonna wanna use scene, and you'll have a scene number like 1, really simple. And a shot number, which might be shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, whatever it's gonna be. But sticking with this, description for me is always super useful. And here's what I do. I'm gonna take this out of full screen mode real quick, and I'm gonna hit tilde to bring this back to regular display. And what I do is I spend about 20 minutes organizing the footage. So I go ahead and I just double click, and this is popping up over here in the source monitor. I'm gonna go ahead and close this for now. And I just quickly scan through the shot, and then I write a brief description, which is close-ups on clothing on rack. Okay, next shot. Okay, close up on back of dress. So as you get more into this, you will learn abbreviations that you can use. For example, this is again another close up, and I would just say close up, neck to earring. Okay. And again. Okay. Close up, front of dress. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go through and label all of these. We're gonna make this super fast forwarded, just so you can see kind of in the end what the folder structure looks like. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've just taken a few minutes to just go through and name every single shot with a brief description in each of the 3 major locations, okay? I know this sounds potentially too silly and too stupid to possibly help you edit faster, but when you start working on series and feature films or even larger shoots where you're dealing with hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of items, having this type of organization is crucial. And each folder should you don't have to use this structure if you don't want to, but each folder should be obvious. And the rule was always anybody who had never seen the project before could find anything in under a minute. It was actually under 30 seconds, but you know, whatever. So for example, music. All right, temp tracks, final tracks. Okay, so maybe you haven't licensed stock footage and you can put it in here, or maybe you have the final music, which in this case I did because it was her music, and I could just quickly go to music and import those 3 songs, and they're already named, but I've got my final tracks in there and I can find them quickly. They're not mixed in with a bunch of other stuff. So one thing I'll just quickly mention here is that these metadata panels are highly customizable. And for example, here we can put a comment, or we can put a good thing. So for example, I have multiple takes here. So ECU, putting earring, take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4. So maybe the only take that I like is this one, and I can just select good, And then I know that's the good take from those 4 takes. Another thing, here's this, how's this? So I've listed the takes in here, but let's say you wanted, you just don't want that. You can go in here and you can say, oh, I'm gonna add a property. What does that mean? All right, so integer, okay? Real text Boolean, but let's just take integer. And we're gonna say take number, okay? I'm gonna say, okay, we've added it, and then here we go, take is showing up here. So I could just go ahead and hit take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, instead of having to type it inside my description. And for films, you would typically have a scene, shot, take, scenario. And comments can be whatever you want it to be in terms of, there's a great part the director liked in this shot. Whatever. The whole point is to make your editing process faster. Right now, sometimes you can, like for example, we now have this and I have all these files, but where did my descriptions go? Yeah, that sucks. Just lost all that. You actually haven't. So you just go back into here. We're gonna do this again. And the one that I added, which was take number. And what we're gonna do here real quick is we're gonna save this. This is save settings, and this is simple content metadata. Okay, great. So now we have selected simple content metadata, and this will just be here when you want, and you say okay, and then great. It's over here, and again, just move these around to how you want them sorted. So description, take, scene, shot, take number, and whether it was good. And you can just grab a hold of these right here to open them up, and you can see your full description. Okay, so now you have this and you're actually ready to start editing. Okay, and then just as a quick tip, because now you're ready to start editing and you've got your edits folder, so rough cuts, fine cuts, deliverables and archives is where I keep cuts that I'm not using anymore, just so they don't clutter up these folders. So if you go up here to File and you go down to New, you can see that here is New Sequence, and you can choose that to get to a new sequence, or you can go down here and you can click on that for New Sequence, or you can just simply hit Control+N. And I hate this. This is very outdated. Adobe really needs to actually fix this, and it should be more deliverable oriented, I believe. So your settings would be more like a YouTube based delivery, or Facebook. So for Facebook, 1200 by 1200 square, whatever. But I don't use the new sequence thing hardly ever. Rather, I do what pretty much every other content creator in the world does, which is you just pick your main type of footage that's going to be in your sequence, you right click, and you just say new sequence from clip, and that's going to automatically generate a new sequence. And we can say AV music video V01. This little V01 at the end is versioning, and I highly recommend in your process that you version your cuts. Don't just use one edit for 6 months of editing and that's it. Every time you have like a milestone, just go ahead and duplicate that and then up version it. That's just another important organizational step, and you can always just go back through previous versions in case you changed something and you want to see what you did or pull something from an earlier edit into here.
All right, there you go. I hope that was helpful. Don't underestimate the power of having a well-organized project. To edit as fast as the pros do, you need to organize like the pros do. The minutes you save will add up to hours, days, months of your life, which you can spend instead on mastering the creative side of editing. Thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notices for more episodes as they are ready. And really, it would be awesome if you could just take a couple minutes in the comments below, letting me know that if you agree or if you've put in an organizational structure, if it helped you speed up your workflow, and also if the downloadable project files were helpful or any suggestions you have as to how they could be modified. Also, I've got other content up on this YouTube channel, so you can take a look through those to find other helpful tips, tricks, and techniques, not just on editing, but the entire filmmaking process. I will see you next time. Dig in. All right, here's my top 10 books on storytelling. 1. Stephen King's On Writing. Arguably the #1 best-selling author of all time in the last 60 to 70 years.